My name is John, and this is Lake Erie Chestnuts. In the last video, we talked about why I started a chestnut orchard. In this video, we're going to talk about what it takes to run an orchard on a yearly basis, going by season. And you're going to want to hang around for the summer and fall because that's when it gets really interesting and critical to the success of your orchard. Winter becomes a time where you're going to do your inspection of trees. You can easily see branches that are broken that'll need to be cleaned and trimmed. If you're looking to grow your chestnuts from seed, check those for mold every couple weeks in your refrigerator. You'll find other heartbreaking broken branches. That's a lot of chestnuts missing from next year that have snapped off of a tree in the weather. And you're going to make your plans for what you're going to do next year. So winter is about a time where you inspect the orchard, check your chestnut seeds that you're stratifying, and coming up with your plans for the next growing season. Spring is where the real inventory starts. Winter always takes a few trees, and this is when I figure out what survived and what didn't. When I find a dead tree, I lift the tube up and set it sideways like this. It won't blow away, and it gives me an immediate visual reminder that the tree needs replaced, and I'll already have a tube to put there. Early in the season, I mow tree rows, but I intentionally leave the areas between the rows taller. The shorter grass discourages turkey and fawn from bedding right next to the young trees, while the taller sections still provide a habitat through the spring and early summer. I like to work with nature as much as possible, and these middle windrows between the rows of chestnuts are really critical to working with nature, and it has led to increased wildlife sightings, which I really appreciate. I want to say a great big thank you to the incredible response we had to our latest video. And as you can see, it's windy, it's snowing, and to be honest with you, that's pretty normal weather for mid-late February. In spring is when I begin fertilizing to give the trees kind of a boost. In the early days, the deer browse above the 5-foot range. You got to get them above 6 foot tall, at least where I live. Fertilizing is necessary right when the leaf buds start to swell. In the spring, you'll plant your bare root trees. I like to plant those around tax day, April 15th. So spring is identifying dead trees that are going to need replacing, fertilizing, and starting mowing. Summer becomes a lot of routine maintenance, which means mowing and cleaning up after various storms and so forth. You don't have as much problems from the deer once you get them above the browse height. Along with the mowing, around July 4th, the chestnuts will begin blooming here, and I'll start getting some idea of what sort of production we're going to have for the year. And that's always an exciting time. That will be earlier for those of you who are in a more southern climate. Some people in northern Florida will have blossoms a full month to a month and a half before my chestnut trees bloom around July 4th. And that's when you're going to do your second fertilization of the year around the time that the blossoms start to form. Chestnut weevils will be a problem at our orchard. We do have those nearby, and they have remained in the oak trees despite the chestnut trees kind of going away, the American chestnuts. So that is going to be a problem, and that's something I'm working towards on figuring out how to manage those. I really want to avoid spraying, but I don't know if that's a realistic plan. I don't want to use it if I don't have to. So weevils is an issue. If you have any trees that have died, you can plant your trees that you may have grown from seed and got them hardened off, and well after your frost date, you can consider planting additional trees. For your newly planted trees, you may need to consider watering them. That's rarely a concern where I live. We don't get super hot temperatures for prolonged periods of time. And while we are a little drier in the summer, we still get usually very timely rains. But if you're from North Carolina or further south where it gets super hot and can get very dry, you may need to consider watering trees in those first couple years just to get them through. My rule of thumb is if you go more than 1 week without any measurable rainfall, you should consider watering your tree at least once a week. Those of you in South Carolina, Georgia, will see significant increase in growth and production if you do some form of irrigation. Turning our attention to the fall now. And the fall is really where I have the most area to grow. I am still 100% manually picking up chestnuts off of the ground. And that is a lot of work, especially as you get to this 10-year, past the 10-year mark, your production is parabolic. It just really steepens in your production. And it's become a lot of work and almost unmanageable even this early in the game. And this is where I have the most room to grow as far as working on figuring out a way to mechanically harvest these chestnuts. So if you're going to go into the game, know that somewhere in the future, you're going to have to either join with other people and buy a mechanical harvester, or you're going to have to come up with some plan on how you're going to harvest those chestnuts and handle them after you collect them. But the fall is all about the harvest. Getting the orchard floor low, mowing it real tight to the ground so that it's easier to harvest the chestnuts, and then getting to them before the deer. You got to figure out how you're going to protect it from the deer, whether you're going to put a fenced in area or if you're going to pick them up every single morning. You have lots of things to work on in the fall, and it all centers around that harvest. While there's always focus on production and the harvest, running an orchard is really not about just one moment. It's about reacting to unexpected challenges. It's about learning a little more each year, following the cycle, and hopefully improving each year. And sometimes your financial modeling is optimistic, and it takes a lot longer than you think. Yeah, so that's a full year here at Lake Erie Chestnuts. We're not finished, we're not perfect, but we're improving every year. If you're building something similar, whether it be working on land, growing an orchard, just be aware it's a process and you won't be perfect. And I think it's valuable sharing it. Wouldn't you rather feel my pain than suffer it yourself? And if you end up having to adjust course or make some changes, it's not the end of the world. You just look at it as you're paying tuition for all that experience. In the upcoming video, I'm going to answer a lot of questions that I'm sure a lot of you have. Is this guy making zillions of dollars? Is he the next trillionaire? The chestnut trillionaire?
Time to pull out some more. Here we go, millions in the air. Keep it coming.
We'll answer that question in the next video. I look forward to seeing you all there. I appreciate you clicking on this video. I hope you liked it. Remember, if you're not out there growing, guys and gals, you're dying. Thanks for watching. Three, 4, 5, 6 fertilized, and 1 pretty good sized burr.